Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. How is everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Mary Grace. I am Mary Grace and I'm coming to you live. We're doing some election analysis and maybe a little bit of therapy. uh, Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Thank you, Todd. Come on in. Please share this. Please share the link. I'm live on Facebook. I'm live on Periscope. I'm live on YouTube and Clout Hub. So depending on where you are, please share this with your followers, your friends, your family. Copy the link and paste it into an email, a text message, and just come on in. And we are going to get this party started. And I am here to tell you that this is not over. Yes. Did I get enough sleep? I did. Yeah, thank you. I was up, as many of you were, on Periscope on and doing live broadcasting uh, during election night. Okay, so please share this. Please get the word out that we're live. I know that Bannon's War Room just went live. I'm gonna keep broadcasting, and we're just gonna go over some things. I've just been collecting information the past few days, and what I really want to start with is this. I want to start with the fact that uh, the president was not surprised by what we're seeing take place right now. I really want to stress that. I can't stress it enough. This is not one of those situations where we got into election evening and all of these things started happening, and the president all of a sudden decided to assemble a legal team and try to figure out how to get around this and how to get us back into a win. That's not what we're dealing with here. I think you know that. I think most of my regular followers understand that, but there are a lot of people who don't quite get that. And so I want to make it clear that that is what's, that he's not surprised. That he's not, running around and with his hair on fire trying to figure out the next steps, right? Um, so just keep that in mind. I was on a call with somebody this morning who told me that they were on an RNC call, um, and that was with RNC donors, and so Ronna McDaniel was talking to them and saying that the president and his team have been anticipating this for over a couple of years, and so they've assembled a team of attorneys. For example, there are over 500 attorneys in Pennsylvania alone. And I told you weeks ago, months ago, that they had over 200 lawyers in Florida. So just hold the line. Don't don't give up on this, because this is one of those things that this is information warfare of the highest degree. This is information warfare beyond what you've experienced up until this point so far. I can't stress that enough. It's critical that you maintain your faith, that you maintain your resolve, and that you stand with the president and understand that this is not the end. That we, those of us who've been paying attention, knew that this was coming. And so I really do want to be clear on that. I want to be clear on knowing that you understand this. And I have been talking, I've been talking a little bit about this to friends. Yesterday my phone was blowing up. It was ringing off the hook, and text, text, text. I've gotten calls at like 8 o'clock in the morning. What's going on? So just understand. I can't stress this enough that the president has everybody in place to deal with this. And I also want to stress to you that he was aware that the information warfare was coming. He was aware that the fraud was coming. He's been telling us. I also want to stress to you that the media has been telling us their plans all along. They've been telling us, along with the Democrats, what they've been planning to do. And that is that they have been planning to get the race down to the wire. And they've been sending the messaging all along. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. And the irony of this is that the pollsters, the polling operations, were telling you that that Biden was up by double digits in some states. And then at the same time, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. He's up by 17 points. It's going to be a close race. What's going to happen when Trump refuses to leave the White House? What's going to happen when Biden wins and Trump refuses to leave? That's the narrative that they've been painting. And so they've been trying to set you up for this. And they've also been setting up their followers for this. And so they're painting the picture with their followers that Trump is litigious, that he's a big crybaby, that he's refusing to accept the results of the election, that the people who are marching outside of these election offices are violent, that all of the Trump supporters, for example, in Arizona, the ones who are open carrying in an open carry state, are violent and intimidating. And so it's the same narrative. It's the same narrative uh, that has been played out for a few years, especially about the Trump supporters. It's just a different version. It's a different version of the coup. It's a different version of the disenfranchising of the American voter. Because let's face it, they never recognized the legitimacy of Trump's president from the start. And so in a way, it's like it's just a continuation. It's the same thing. It's just different tactics. So I want to stress that. I really want you to understand that. Um, and Okay, I'm just looking at the cat. So that noise you hear is Barley. Barley is making a little bit of noise. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't. Okay, so if you watch my show, you know that we have Barley the cat, and he is under my chair right now. And he got a toy that is noisy, and I tried to take it away from him. I couldn't. Okay, so I have a teenage cat, kitten, and that's him making that noise. So I apologize for the distraction. Now, what else was I going to say? Now, I I have a sense about this. Um, you don't have to agree with me, but my sense is that this was a sting, that the mail in votes were a sting. I feel like we have the ability to track what they're doing. I don't have a specific source on this, I don't have a verification. Um, okay, something just started making noise and I don't know what it is. Um, Hold on, guys. I'm just gonna mute for just a minute. I have no idea what is happening right now. Hold on. Okay. All right. So here we are. I'm back. um, the cat. Okay, distraction. Let's pray against distraction. Okay. I should have gotten his toy while I was up. All right. So yeah, so I the reason that I feel like there may be a sting is this, because the president is he's been talking about mail-in voting a lot. Now we know that this is what their plan was. They wanted universal, national mail-in voting because, and they were using the pandemic as the excuse. Um, I feel like, we've been looking at the voter fraud for several years now. We have had people in place, I believe, including Veritas. Now we know about Veritas, but I think that there are different um, agencies also embedded. Okay, let me be clear about something, Millie. When I say that I think there's a sting, I am not by any means advocating for not fighting for this. That I don't know who's saying that, but that's that's not what I'm saying. The two aren't mutually exclusive. I'm not saying sit back, don't make yourself heard, don't take it to the courts. No, absolutely not. So yeah, just let me be clear on that. I'm not saying, oh, they've got it all wrapped up, just sit back, um, and just, let it play out. There are okay, I'm trying to keep my train of thought, but I'm looking at your chat too. Uh yeah. Don't rely on just the idea that there's a sting. That's what I'm saying. um, we need to win. The president, we know what's going on technically, right? We know that the media is 100% in the tank for Joe Biden, and that they're doing the bidding of the Democrat Party. I've never seen anything like what they did. I talked about this the other night when I was live. They called Virginia. Um, they called Virginia for Biden with 3% of the vote in. Um, they called Arizona before any votes came in. It's crazy, and people have really called them out. I mean, the conservatives are furious with Fox News. Politico is doing it, AP is doing it, but at the same time, they refused to call a race. They refused to call Florida. So Florida was won and counted, and Arizona had just closed the polls. They called Arizona, but they still hadn't called Florida. So it's really just obvious. And they called California as soon as the polls closed. And I just saw Greg Rubini tweeted out um, that 9.7 million missing votes showed up in California. Now, given the track record of the Democrats, I find it hard to believe that those would be Republican ballots. Um, yeah. Okay, so Millie says they are okay, so Millie says that they're just now taking mail-in ballots off the drop-off points in Virginia, drop-off boxes. I mean, in California. Yeah, I don't know. So my point to you is this, though. Um, I got to get this toy away from the cat. It's distracting me way too much. Hold on. Okay. Um, okay. Yeah, I mean, I believe that California had major voter fraud in 2018. Um, and I think that the reason that I feel like there's a sting is because, I was in Florida during the Broward County fiasco in 2018. Um, I was down there, watching what was going on. I heard the messaging, which is count every vote. That's their messaging for voter fraud. They don't say count every legal vote. They're saying count every vote, and that's what they're doing now. We saw in California that we had races that we had won, and then weeks later they came up with extra ballots that all went to the Democrats. And I had somebody tried to explain to me today that it is statistically possible for all of the ballots to go to one candidate. And when I challenged them, they said, well, the mail-in ballots are from Biden supporters because they respect the virus. because I said, look at the groundswell of support for this president. Nobody has this many people come out for them. Biden can't get 12 people in a room, right? So if that's the case, okay, by that logic, it, so the Democrats are using the talking point that all of Biden's supporters came out in the polls. That's how they showed their support, by getting their ballot in the mail and mailing it to him. And that the way that different states conduct their counting really is up to them, and that we can't say it's fraud just because they're counting them the day after the election. That's the reasoning that they're using. Okay, so by that logic, if all of these people are, quote, respecting the virus, and showing support for him by mailing in their votes, and they were told that there weren't going to be, let's imagine for a minute that the virus respecters, aka Biden supporters, were told that they couldn't have rallies, that there was a limit of 12 people at a rally, right? And so if you loved your candidate the way that Trump's supporters love him, wouldn't you figure out other ways to show your support for your candidate? I mean, wouldn't people like decorate their houses, decorate their cars? Why didn't they have boat parades for Biden? You could physically distance with a boat parade. That's how they started for Trump. Right? See what I mean? Like, so if you're telling me that if you want me to buy into the story that Biden has that much support, then why wouldn't he have support out in public? Yeah, and if the virus really were as dangerous as they were saying, based on the numbers of people who have turned out in support physically in real life, um, for like drag the interstate, everybody's in their own car. Why wasn't that happening for Biden? Why was it limited to just the mail-in votes? See what I mean? It's not logical. There's nothing logical about what they're saying. Just like there's nothing logical about the fact that all these votes flipped for Democrats from Republicans in 2018. It's just not logical. So, and there was just no enthusiasm. There's no enthusiasm for this candidate. So to believe that he could have this kind of turnout with the lack of enthusiasm for this candidate is insane. I mean, you really have to suspend belief to believe that. And I think that the other thing that I think is just crazy is that they're not willing. Like if everything goes on the up and up and it's legit, then why isn't then why do they have a problem letting Republicans in to observe the count? If it's legitimate, these are legitimate, these are Biden ballots, his supporters showed up by mail. Great. Let us observe. Let us be there and watch while you open the ballots. Let us examine the voter rolls. If you have nothing to hide, if you truly have nothing to hide, why wouldn't you do that? Okay. Now, here's the other statistical anomaly that people can't account for. If you look at the graphs of the amounts of votes that were dropped in Wisconsin, for example, you see, like here's the thing: when statisticians look at trends over time, and so when you look at the trends of voting, when you look at the trends of voting for now, when you look at the past 20 years, okay, of numbers, sorry, when you look at God, I have a teenager on my hands here. When you look at the trends of the voting, just scratch my legs. Yeah, when you look at trends, let me get my chart here. It's when you have this type of trend, right? When you have a curve like this, but in 2020, or when you're counting the votes and they're going up like this, okay? And then in like a 2 hour period, you have a straight vertical line for Biden, and that happens in more than one state. There are only so many situations um, where it ceases to be just coincidence. That's what I'm trying to say. And the other thing that I think is worth note, and this is something that Richard Barris is talking about, is that voter turnout. Voter turnout is something that's measured over time. That they look at trends. For example, in Hawaii, there are the voter turnout is traditionally for a presidential election, it's about 40%. So let's say that the Republicans wanted to flip Hawaii red, and they decided that they were going to dump a whole bunch of ballots in by whatever means possible. Let's say they decided to do that, right? And so let's say that voter turnout in Hawaii was typically um 500,000 people. It's not even that much, 500,000, right? So for this election, um they count the votes and it's 800,000. That's a massive increase, right? Let's say the population's a million. So you go from 50% turnout to 80% turnout over from one election cycle to the next. That just doesn't, anybody who's ever looked at statistics, even on a basic level, understands that that doesn't happen. And if you look at trends over time in voting, even the most gung ho voters, right? Areas where there's a high turnout and people are really politically active, you're looking at maybe 70% turnout. Even in a big election year, like when Obama got elected. And so then you tell the voters that Wisconsin had over 80% turnout, or that they registered a million voters on election day, and that those people all voted for Biden. This is what we're dealing with. It just there's so many things that don't add up. Somebody said something about Lana Bowser. No, I didn't see that. Somebody said that I just lost my train of thought. Somebody said that Veritas uh, dropped a video. Can you tell me what it was? Oh yeah, and then Biden gets more votes than Obama. Biden is more popular than Obama. Obama doesn't even like Biden. Obama can't stand being in the same space with Biden. Nobody likes Biden. Nobody. That, like, at least with Hillary, they made it believable. Like, she had her fangirls, right? And so when she lost, it was like, there was this groundswell of grief of people that truly believed that she was going to be the first woman president. All right. And so for Biden to get outvoted, to outvote her, and to outvote Obama, an old decrepit guy that's walking around like a corpse. I mean, it's just think logically. Just be logical. How is this logical? How is any of it logical? That's my question. Like, if you're willing to get out of your bubble for just a minute and put, two or three elements together. Oh, the Veritas video. Okay, that I thought you meant a new video. Okay. No, I've seen the Veritas video where the postal worker was told to backdate the mail-in ballots. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. So okay. Um yeah, I don't think people, yeah, nobody voted for Biden, just against Trump. So there's just no popular support for him. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. And so we're just trying to figure out, it's like how, even if there were a case for a Biden win, just a logical case, I'm not seeing it. I'm trying to I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of the other side with somebody who's willing to look at it objectively. How can you objectively say that your candidate had even half the momentum that you're telling me he had? That's what I'm getting at, right? That's my question. Okay. Let me just look at something else here. So the reason that I'm going to go back to why I think it's a sting. Because of what was happening with DHS, because of the fact that the president appointed William Barr. For those people who are saying, "Where's Barr? Where's Barr?" I don't think he's absent. I think that he's doing what he needs to do. I did read uh, that he authorized federal agents, armed agents, to go into polling places to monitor. So I did see that. So I don't think he's absent. Now, do we want to barnstorm this and have everything fixed in the next like 5 minutes? Yeah, I would like to see that. I would like to see the networks be honest, um, and and do what they need to do to get this to proclaim the to proclaim the president the winner, even in the states that he won. That doesn't make sense to me. So the fact that they're refusing to call him a winner, for example, in North Carolina, that is okay. That is the that just tells you that they're totally in for Joe Biden. For somebody who said that a spray bottle would stop the cat from jumping on my leg, he does it too fast before I even notice. He's trying to get my attention. Okay, so if you see me jerking, it's not that I have an issue. It's that the cat jumped on my leg. Okay, um, you know, I don't know what's going to happen to the networks. I feel like the networks should be held criminally liable for doing what they did because they're disenfranchising the voters. It's a complete fraud to announce that one candidate won an entire state before they even counted the votes. I don't think that's been done. I don't. Um, but yeah, the media is completely bought and paid for. And one thing to realize too is that in 2016, the Democrats had the media shilling for them, but they didn't take it so far to as to have them declare premature winners of states for Hillary, because they truly believed that she was going to win. They thought they had done everything they needed to do. They really didn't understand or see the support for Trump that was so visible this time, because a lot of the silent majority became loud this time, and so they could see the groundswell of support, and they got the media in on the process to they got them in on the process of declaring Biden the winner. Because remember, what they're trying to do is run up the scoreboard for Biden so that he could get to 270. That's why they did it. Okay, so they give him a win right out of the gate. Oh, he's won Virginia, right? It's demoralizing. And and then they do it for and then they hold back on Florida, for example. So we have to hold the line. The president is on this. He's not backing down. He's already declared that he's won those states. So yeah, somebody said that we need to start having parades for the president now. I thought about that. I thought he should start having rallies. But right now people are rallying at these Secretary of State offices. So there's a huge groundswell happening in Nevada they're calling for people to go to the Secretary of State office in Nevada tonight. They're trying to get 10,000 people there. I agree Virginia was stolen, and I don't know why the campaign isn't pushing harder to get back Virginia. I don't know why they let Virginia slide. But, you know, I don't know if they're going to bring lawsuits to get Virginia back. I just don't know. Terry is in Arizona. Uh, Trump campaign predicts victory as early as Friday. Michelle, are you seeing that on one of the official Trump sites? I mean, we're trying to not drag this out. It's not fair to the American people to do this. One of the things that we know they're trying to do is to give Biden an early declaration. Um, Marianne says it could be because of money. Um, what do you mean, Marianne? That oh, that why we're not suing them? I think yeah. Yeah, Rudy talked about like a big national lawsuit, and I agree. Oh, that they didn't go after Virginia. I don't know. I don't know. All right, let me look at okay. All right, so Jason Miller is saying that we are looking that we are looking at a win by um that we're looking at a win by Friday. Why would we drag it out? Why would we drag it out? Yeah, I think we're contesting Michigan, we're contesting Wisconsin. Um yeah. So I'm just looking through all your chats here. Okay. Somebody asked me about the watermarks on the ballots. So I do believe that that's one of the ways that it was done. And for example, when you the way that I understand it is that you have the paper that the ballots are printed on, and then the ballots are printed at the state level with the presidential candidate and the all of the down ballot initiatives and candidates. Okay, so what they're saying about the sting is that DHS had paper printed with an invisible watermark that can be detected maybe with ultraviolet light. I'm not sure, but that in any case it can be detected. And if you remember the president talking about when you remember the president talking about how they were going to have ballots printed out like in China, mass ballots um, for fraud. Okay, uh, so if that's the case, then it would stand to reason that the fraudsters would be using those that they would be using the paper that they would be using the paper that is not watermarked. Okay, that's the theory. Yeah. So Dilly's saying it's not true. On what basis is he saying that? Yep. So there was a judge. So a judge in Michigan threw out Trump's lawsuit. Yeah, I think that we're going to federal court in Michigan. So every state has its own nuances about either recount or stopping the count until we can get our observers in there. And so just keep in mind that when Trump says stop the count, when Trump says stop the count, he's not saying stop counting votes forever. He's saying stop the count until we can verify that those are legal ballots. Because, when they start counting these ballots, when they're counting these illegal ballots, they're just counting and counting and counting. And then it's hard to reverse that, right? So he wants to just stop that runaway train of the illegal ballots, right? Um, so that's what I think is happening. Again, I don't know for sure. Uh, Jilly was texting with people at the White House about the sting, and they said no sting. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see. There may be other ways to to detect it. Okay. Um, for example, just having people embedded in these agencies. That's one thing that I think could be highly likely because we already know that Project Veritas is uh, we already know that Project Veritas is in on it, right? They have people on the inside. Um, yeah, and somebody pointed out, of course, the White House would say that there's no sting. Uh, Donna says I got on DHS website today. They have a list of what they say are truth versus rumor, right? Dilly said don't depend on watermarks. Ah, Dilly said he doesn't know for sure, just what he was told. Okay, yeah. So again, when when you're trying to stop a crime, um, the law enforcement isn't exactly going to tell you um, what they're doing, So it's a theory. This is a theory. They're not going to come out and tell you their methods, right? Um, but yeah. So I think that the important thing right now is to stay focused and to keep your spirits up. We did keep the Senate. We did keep we kept we gained seats in the House, which will make it harder for them in terms of a majority. I was hoping that we would flip the House, and we're keeping the presidency. Now, for those of you who are listening to conservative commentators who are telling you that even that are even giving in to the idea that losing the presidency is okay, that we'll be okay, that we can come back again 4 years, and that we still have the Senate, right? I just want to tell you that I am 100% not in favor with that argument. That is not even. I'm not. I'm not going there because it's not okay. We know for now. We know for sure that the Senate has been compromised for a long time, and that without Trump there, uh, they're just going to go back. They're just going to go back to the same thing. It's going to go right back to swamp, and they're going to reverse everything that Trump has done. There's no scenario in which it's okay. Um, uh, there's no scenario in which it's okay that the president is not the president as of January 2021. It's not okay. Don't even buy into that. Don't acquiesce and say, well, at least we still have the Senate. Well, at least we have the Supreme Court. No, that's I'm not even going to agree with that. I'm not entertaining that idea uh, because it's not okay. I am telling you right now that the president will not stop fighting. He is 100% in the right, and we've already won. Yeah, the president has already won. So do not entertain for a single minute the idea that Biden is the president, that he will be the president, because it's not going to be him. That he's controlled, he's compromised. So yeah, we just have to get these results certified, and the president, the legal team, the lawyers have to take it through the certification process. Okay, so just stick with me on this. And then, who are those of you who are melting under the pressure, should I say, I am going to exhort you to not do that. You've got to get your emotions in check. You have to stay strong. our nation has been through a lot more than this. And I was listening to Bannon this morning, and he was really on a rant about this, and I was cheering him on because the way that people are acting right now, the way that people are just, floundering and faltering and weeping and crying and gnashing of teeth and, you know, and just saying, I don't know if I can do this anymore. If you're if you are in that place, I just want to paint a picture for you. Bannon talked about it this morning, but I just want to describe something to you. Okay. When our soldiers landed on the beach at Normandy, they they were fighting the very thing that we're fighting right now. And they were putting their lives on the line so that you could be here today. Um, and and I want to describe the scene to you because I'm guessing that most people in this broadcast have never been to Normandy. Give me a show of hands if you've ever walked on the beach at Normandy and walked through those towns and seen the cemeteries there. Have you guys seen that? I have, and I want to describe it to you. So, one of the things that you need to understand about the beach at Normandy and those beaches up there in that part of France is that they have extremely high and low tides. So, the tides are as many as like 30, 40 feet. And so that means that, at high tide, the beach is, maybe 10 feet wide. Actually, it's wider than that, maybe 100 feet wide from the beach to the cliffs. At low tide, at low tide, the water line is another 300 feet back. Okay, so can you picture that? The beach goes from this to like a chasm, huge, a lot of space, a lot of ground to cover. The other thing about that beach that people don't understand is that there are some beaches that have that where the sand is packed. So when the tide goes out, like Daytona Beach, Florida, when the tide goes out, it's nice and flat. You can ride your bike, you can drive your car, you can walk on the beach. The beach at Normandy is not like that. It actually has places where there's quicksand, and so when you step on the sand, this is a known problem. Uh, this is a known problem there, not a known issue, which is that people get in these sinkholes. They're walking along on the sand, and it literally just collapses under you, and you can be up to your waist in sand with water coming around you. This is how a lot of pilgrims going to Mont Saint Michel died, as they were going across the sand to get to the island where the abbey is to this day. And that is that they would walk across the sand when the tide was out, and either they would go into sinkholes or the tide would come up, and the tide comes up really quickly. So the scene is set for you, I hope, because when the soldiers landed on the beach at Normandy, they had to do it under a new moon, and they had to go in under, I believe, low tide because of all of the spikes that the Germans had put in the water, and so they didn't want to risk running their boats into those spikes, and so the Germans put like these almost like impaling spikes in the water pointing toward the boats. So if you got your boat in, you'd ram your boat into those spikes. And there was one window of opportunity uh, to get in. It literally depended on the right tide, the right winds, the right moon. It had to be cloudy so that they couldn't be detected. And they took that one window to get the landing craft up on the beach, to get our soldiers off of the landing craft, and then they had to run that whole expanse to get to the first cliff and then climb up. The whole time they were doing that, the entire time our boys were doing that, the average age was 20. They couldn't even vote then. They weren't even allowed to vote. The whole time this was happening, the bullets were raining down on them. And so these young men were jumping off the landing craft. Some of them died. Some of them died just jumping off because their boots and their clothes and their packs were so heavy that they didn't realize how deep it was. And so they drowned. Some of them couldn't move because of the depth of the sand. And so these weren't young kids in running shorts jumping off the boat in ideal conditions on hard sand. It wasn't like Baywatch where they're just running down the sand. Okay. They had all of their gear on and they were getting shot at. And they're running across the sand. And then they have to scale a cliff. So they have to throw a grappling hook up and they have to scale a cliff, and bullets are raining down on their heads. Okay. And this is what was happening so that you could sit here today and watch me talking to you about the most important election of our lifetimes. Because the number that made it from the landing craft to the top of the cliff was very few. And Himmler, I'm sorry, I think it was Himmler, was it Himmler or Rommel? They spent like a year and a half fortifying this cliff. And when you go up to the top of the cliff and you go into the area where they had their bunkers, they were, the Germans were so well fortified that, they had these bunkers dug into the ground. We couldn't like, even if we shot at them, we couldn't really get to them because of the way that they were fortified in these bunkers. And so these young men, many of them, by the time their landing craft landed and they got off the landing craft into the water, they were stepping into a sea of blood. And they were running across the bodies of their fellow soldiers on the beach to get to the cliffs. And the other thing that I forgot to tell you about the cliffs is that, in some places, when some cliffs are dry, right? It's like out in the Arizona desert. People love to rock climb out there because it's dry. And same thing with Yosemite. You can get a grip, you can climb up. So the other thing about the rocks on the beach at Normandy is that they're slippery and wet. That was the other part of it. So not only did they have to go through all of what I just described across that wide beach with a target on their backs, then they had to get to the cliff, throw a grappling hook, make it land, and then climb up on those slimy rocks. That's what was happening on that day when those young men were trying to gain back, we're trying to take the beach at Normandy. So if you're crying today and you are about to give up in despair, I want you to picture what I just described about what happened that day, because none of us would be here if they hadn't done that. And so it's imperative, it's essential that you muster even a fraction of the courage and resolve that those boys had, and that you understand that they did that for you so that you could be here right now voting for this president, and that you could have a future for your hope, for your children and for their children. I really want you to picture that. The next time you feel like you need to go have an extra glass of wine or a Starbucks, to cope with what's happening right now to our president, because it's happening to you too. It's happening to our future. Yeah, you have to honor them. My great uncle died at Iwo Jima fighting the Japanese. So that was just one aspect of the war. But for every story like that, there's 1,000 more. Yeah. That was the greatest generation. We have to honor them. We have to honor the patriots who spent the winter at Valley Forge in the middle of a smallpox Was it, no, was it influenza? They were in a pandemic. It was a pandemic, and over 1,000 of them died. Okay, we are more than conquerors through Jesus Christ. Yeah. So no more crying, no more whinging and wailing and gnashing of teeth and wringing your hands and saying, oh no, what happens? I can't cope with this. I don't know what I'm going to do. The Spanish flu, thank you. I knew it started with an S. But this is for the future of Western civilization, what's happening right now. And and so you cannot let the media narrative drive your emotions, and you have to understand that legacy media is the enemy of the people, including Fox News. We've been telling you this for a long time. We knew what was coming. We knew this was coming. So it's time. It's time to just, yeah, man up. Get yourself, grow a pair. Yeah, you got to do it. Do it for every single one of those boys that didn't make it off the landing craft, that left their blood in the sand, in the ocean, on those cliffs. Is Millie still in here? Yeah, and just remember, the devil came to steal, kill, and destroy, but Jesus came that you might have life and have it in the fullest. Don't forget that. We're fighting for life. We're fighting for the life of generations of this nation. I didn't go through any of my links today. I don't know if Trump is speaking tonight. I don't know. I know for some reason Millie's not seeing the chat. Somebody mentioned me putting a version of my story about Normandy on video. Are you talking about the broadcast that I did? I think it was on Independence Day. Is that what you're talking about? Because I've talked about this before. Thank you guys. Okay, Michelle just said the president is doing an address. He's going to address the nation at 6:30 from the briefing room in the White House. Okay. So, Michelle just said 6:30. Remarks from POTUS scheduled at 6:30 Eastern from the press briefing room at the White House. Yeah. Now, one thing I'm going to say to Steve Bannon is this. Steve Bannon, I love the analysis and I love the information that you're getting out. I just don't like that you keep telling the president what to do. I don't like that because you're not on his advisory council. I did it last year on the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Thank you. You can watch the president on the White House channel on YouTube. You can watch it on hopefully news networks. I would go to One American News on cloudtv.com. You can go to Newsmax. I'm no longer ever recommending Fox to anybody because they were complicit in trying to steal this election. Yeah, I just don't like him telling the president what to do. Um, yeah. I'm listening to War Room right now because they're having Rudy Giuliani on. And I like his other co-hosts. I like Raheem. I like the other guy that's on there, Jack Maxey. So yeah. So listen, Praying Medic does his update at 6 o'clock on Clout Hub, and so make sure you're following his updates. He goes through the events of the day. That's Clout Hub, CLOUTHUB. Make sure you're following me, Mary Grace, um, on YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, and Clout Hub. You can also go to my website, marygracemedia.com, and you can watch through the website. You can contact me through the website. You can contact me through my email, which is info@marygracemedia.com. And if you would like to partner with me, if you would like to support the show, you can do that through clicking on my website, marygracemedia.com, and click on support. And then you can also support me through purchasing superfoods. And so I have a superfoods company that I'm a rep, and I have a voucher that you can get from me to save $100 or more off of your first month's purchase. And it's a great product, especially for a life that is stressful and busy. And that's one of the things that I really rely on it for. It's the best nutrition out there, delivered right to your door. And as we go into flu season, I think that there's, I think there's still flu, colds and flu or whatever. It's super important to get good nutrition in your body. So sometimes you guys see me drinking my superfoods, and when you purchase superfoods from me, I do get a commission. So that is a business that I have. And so I make the shakes, I drink them. I drink one every morning, sometimes two a day. There's some other products that I just love. It's all superfoods, it's all organic, it's all green, and you can get a voucher from me by messaging me info@marygracemedia.com to get your voucher. So please do that. And make sure you message me soon, because going into the holidays, you want to make sure that you get the the shipping. It's going to take longer for shipping so that you can get started. And there's something called the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation. Franklin just put a chat on Periscope. He said he's down 15 pounds in 11 days. And this is a goal that he's had, has to lose weight. And so this is a very safe way to lose weight. If that's something you want to do, the nutrition is just fantastic. If you don't need to lose weight, that's fine. It's really up to you what your goals are. I don't really use it to lose weight. I use it to maintain my energy and my weight and my focus. And I know that I'm getting way better nutrition than if I just made a whole ton of smoothies all the time. This is way better than that, and so much easier and so much faster. So please message me if you want that. It's info@marygracemedia.com to get that voucher. Okay. Well, let me just look at the comments here. The upside of all this is that we're not talking about the stupid virus anymore. We're not getting the daily death toll wherever the news is, right? So that's good. You know, my mom, bless her heart, she said, "Why did they tell us every day how many people die?" I mean, the truth is, like 6 to 7 thousand people a day die in the United States. Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they telling us that? Why don't they tell us how many people live? Um, you know, so Trump is our president. Trump is going to stay the president, and he's already won this election. The media and the Democrats are doing everything possible to make you believe that he's lost. We are not conspiracy theorists. We are not delusional. We are not in the position that Hillary Clinton supporters were in 2016, where they just completely refuse to accept the results of the election, the president is duly elected and he will stay president. And so we are not we're not backing down. 400 are dying each day in the UK, but they're not dying of anything else, right? People just people don't die of other things. We have to focus on COVID, right? That's why you guys are submitting to a lockdown that's criminal, that's destroying your businesses, increasing drug addiction, increasing drug use, and going to put you in a double-digit recession. You have to live your life. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to log off here, and we are going to those people who um, go watch Dave. He is on Cloud Hub right now. Okay. So I'll be back most likely this weekend at some point. We're just going to keep tracking everything. Dave is live on Cloud Hub. Make sure you're subscribing to all of my social media. Make sure you support the show. MaryGraceMedia.com. Click on support. Get your Superfoods voucher from me, info@MaryGraceMedia.com. Listen to the president at 6:30 Eastern. So I'm just looking at JC's comment. Pennsylvania Secretary of State said that you could have the election when his comment got cut off. It's clout with a T, clout. Like I have a lot of clout. Clout Hub, not cloud. Clout. Clout Hub. Hold the line. It's all one word, Clout Hub. It's an app, but you can also watch on the internet. Summary for late arrivals. I'm about to log off, but you can go watch Dave, and Robert. I think that you can actually watch through his website if you can't get Clout Hub. That's the other thing I wanted to say. That Clout Hub, that it's embedded. Like I have it embedded on my website. And so I think you can watch directly on the website, even if you don't have the app or the ability to sign up in your country. I'm glad you mentioned that because you're in Germany. Yeah. So the people in overseas who can't get the Clout Hub app or sign up for Clout Hub, you can watch it embedded on the website. So glad you mentioned that. And I'm pretty sure that Praying Medic has it on his website as well. I haven't checked. He's on channel, Praying Medic is channel 115. I'm channel 111, 111. Okay, so he's on now, and I will see you guys when I come back on. And I need to figure out another distraction for my cat while I do a live stream. Yeah. Okay, I'll see you soon. I don't think I'll wait till Monday to come back on. All right. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. Dave's not on yet. Can't get full screen yet. You might have to log into Cloud Hub on your browser, on your web browser. The app is still, there's still a lot of things happening with that particular platform. All right. I'll see you later. Glad you came. And thank you to all of my Facebook and YouTube and Periscope listeners and my Cloud Hub listeners. Yes, please remain in worship, remain in prayer. God's got this.